What's up? I want to do a body analysis video on the Trump and Putin meeting summit in Alaska. So the video I'm going to show first is going to be them getting off the plane, because there's a lot that I can pick up when people are right in front of each other. People wear about 98% of how you really feel in your body. Even if you are trained to read body language, or if you are trained to mind how you are sitting with your body and to sit in neutral stances, you still wear how you really feel for about at least 15 seconds before you switch up your body. Many different people can look at one situation and pull different things that they all see. So I may see something or say something different than someone else who might be doing another body analysis video. That's why some people say you go out there and get more than one opinion, so it can really help you think. Okay, you guys, I had to voice over this part because the sound originally messed up, and we can pull a little bit from this part too. We're just going to skim through coming off the plane. And Trump, pay attention. He's having a hard time coming off the plane. He's struggling. He needs to soak his feet, massage his feet, care for his, the simple things of caring, for yourself. Make the little things simpler, to bend over, pick things up. Look at the guy who ran down the steps behind him. Some people are going to say, he's up in age. So is Putin. Look at Putin run down the steps. It really does matter to walk around outside, lift little weights, drink some water. It's the little things. Now, this red carpet was the most alarming, that he's pulling out a red carpet for his bromance rather than his wife. And here that some people felt that it was alarming that Trump had drifted off. It's his right, our left, that, he drifted off to the side while he was walking. And that does not disturb me. That's not going to alarm me too much with any type of cognizance. Because if you look, he's looking up toward the right to see if Putin is getting off the plane. And wherever you look is where you're going to go. Similar to when you're driving a car. If you look straight, the car will go straight. If you look to the right, their car will drift right. And so that's what I see. I see him looking up to see if his friend's getting off. But also, he's not being tested to see if you can walk in a straight line. So you see a hand clap and then this red carpet, which is a serious sign of adoration, admiration, appreciation, looking up, Trump looking up to Putin. And then you will see him extend his hand, Trump extending it to Putin, underhanded. Submission, I will help you with whatever you need, saying Putin is the boss.
The ultimate goal of a dictator is to gain power. And then once you've got power, the goal of the dictator becomes to keep that power.
Yeah, it's like you've won a gold medal, but people are wanting to snatch it away from you all the time. So you've got to keep holding on to the gold medal. It becomes a vicious circle, because in order to maintain power, you've got to get more powerful as you gain more enemies. And to get more powerful, you've got to restrict people's liberties more. So in fact, you get worse and worse. Power corrupts, it feeds on itself, and you end up becoming an evil bastard.
Most dictators start off with good intentions. One thinks of Pinochet in Chile or Lee Kuan Yew in Singapore, who they might be brutal, they might want to get rid of their opponents, but at the same time, they have a real sort of modernizing goal for their country. Pinochet sees himself as saving his country from the evils of communism and creating the kind of Chile which can actually pay its way in the world. And so he's really trying to improve the welfare of his citizens. And of course, Putin, to some extent, starts out in that kind of a way as well. He has a vision of restoring order in Russia and improving the prosperity after the really difficult sort of economic situation in the 1990s.
But whatever deals that is going to happen, whatever is going on, Trump is going to agree to whatever Putin says. Do you see, I'll probably put some pointers up there on the screen. Do you see how Trump, within this handshake, how his hand has Putin's hand so close to his body, which is saying that within this interaction, he would like to stay friends for a very long time. That's how much he really likes him. And looking at Putin's handshake, he's not coming in and meeting this space. There's too much space. And I don't believe this is space of independence. I believe who has the independence would be Putin. But Trump is very, very codependent. He's alpha. He really needs people around him to help him do what he needs to do. I see a lot of Sigma in Putin right now. But how he has him so close. He wants to be a close friend to the very end. He don't want to let him go. Very submissive. He would do pretty much anything, help him out with whatever he needs. This is all from Putin. All from Trump. How Trump is the body language I'm reading off of Trump. Now, Putin from this handshake the feeling is not mutual. I'm not saying that he's not courteous as a friend, but this is more transactional for Putin. He doesn't come close. He's still far. So that space right there is telling me that Putin doesn't like Trump as much as Trump adores Putin. How he keeps that space, he makes sure to keep space. Another thing is that Putin, because he went through a lot, not saying other people haven't, but he went through a lot throughout his childhood. And he had some people backstab him, or he's afraid of some type of backstabbing. He's afraid of betrayal. So what I'm saying by that is that he's very selective with putting the people that he has as his inner circle. The people who are his true friends, the people who he really, really, really care about. You're not in the inner circle yet. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying from what I see right here.
Isn't at war with anybody, so there's a need to manufacture a war in order to turn Putin into a kind of war leader. First of all, there's an explosion in a Moscow shopping mall, and then a truck bomb blows up outside an army barracks in the Southern Republic of Dagestan. And then there are 3 so-called apartment bombings where apartment blocks are blown up in the middle of the night.
Something like 300 Russian citizens, civilians, were killed in those bombings. And immediately the authorities said they were Chechens. Even before anyone came and did investigation in the place, they said Chechens did this, Chechen terrorists did this. And Putin's response was immediately send the army to Chechnya.
As of now, Putin's rating is 0. He was never regarded as a serious presidential contender, and I don't think that Yeltsin's approval will add much to that 0.
And Putin makes these speeches saying, I will wipe out the terrorists wherever they are, I will find them. If they're in the outhouse, I will rub them out in the outhouse. He's using real kind of mafia slang. He's going to be the big dog who can keep the country safe from these terrorists who are just slaughtering ordinary people. So suddenly his poll ratings start shooting up. Now, the interesting thing about the apartment bombings is that there's an awful lot of evidence that these were not in fact carried out by Chechen terrorists, that in fact the apartment bombings were a false flag operation by the FSB. For example, the expertise to blow up buildings in the very precise way that it was done, the explosive which was used to do them, which was only available to the Russian state. There was a failed bombing in the city of Ryazan. The people who planted the explosives were actually caught and turned out to be FSB agents. And then the head of the FSB comes out and says, well, no, that wasn't an attempted bombing at all. That was a training exercise by the FSB. So really, one might say that this is the kind of founding crime of the Putin regime, that actually Putin was prepared from the start to see hundreds of his own people blown up in order to secure his political power.
that's another sign of high adoration, a sign of like someone really loving someone. Like, what did this guy do? Both wearing red. That's interesting. They really want you to want something. Something. But that hand over his, how he has two hands over his hand, is that of that he really cares for this person.
We are watching a demolition moving faster than gravity itself, a building bursting into powder from top to bottom. Here, the core of the North Tower finally gives up. 700 remaining feet of giant steel columns, among the strongest ever erected. What force acts upon the core to make it all of a sudden disappear? Eric Hufschmid, author of the book Painful Questions, is a metal-cutting software engineer.
The floors of the World Trade Center towers were on three-dimensional mesh of steel beams. You have to keep in mind now the floor is about an acre in size. There are thousands of joints all over it. In order for the floor to fall down, thousands of joints would have to break simultaneously. And then if you look at the speed at which this came down, less than 10 seconds, you blink your eye and thousands of joints just pop somehow. The only way you can explain that is with explosives. They had to have had explosives placed all over the floors at the primary joints. And then that would explain how all of the joints broke at such a rapid rate. The debris was crashing from one floor to the next. Debris cannot crash through steel and concrete floors as fast as it falls through the air. And there was no slowing. Explosives had to be breaking the joints ahead of the falling rubble, which is why the top half starts off collapsing slowly and then it starts picking up speed.
The way these buildings came down, that can be easily explained by the use of explosives. And not a single one of them can be explained without the use of explosives. So the fact that they came down at virtually free fall speed, that there was molten metal under the buildings. Molten metal needs temperatures far exceeding what fire can reach. Furthermore, the buildings came straight down. That's the whole purpose of controlled demolition of the type that we call implosion. There are only a few companies in the world qualified to do it. So the idea that somehow a plane hitting a building plus a fire would cause that building to come straight down. We're talking about over 300 steel columns, 47 core columns, over 200 columns around the perimeter. For the building to come down in a symmetrical way, so the building comes down as you see in the videos, all of those steel columns had to collapse simultaneously. For that to have occurred because of random fires throughout the buildings would be an absolute miracle. Furthermore, there are literally dozens of witnesses who report hearing explosions going off in the towers.
This is as close as we...
Little did we know at the time, 9/11 was not a normal day of blue sky aviation. On the contrary, it was one of the busiest days in the history of American aviation. A dense forest of live fly exercises, drills, simulations, fake radar injects, and utter confusion. And that was before the attacks even began. This is the story of 9/11 that you didn't watch unfold on your TV that fateful day in 2001. This is the story of the 9/11 War Games. Part 1. War Games. It only stands to reason that government employees, armed forces, and first responders spend a considerable amount of time every year training to respond to crises. A major catastrophic event may only happen once in a lifetime, but if and when it does occur, the appropriate personnel need to know how to respond. Not all military exercises and government drills are the same, however. These training events can range all the way from computer simulations and war games, where no personnel are deployed and no physical resources are committed, to live field exercises where real people use real equipment and even real munitions to practice responding to real-world emergencies or simulate real warfare. And as these drills move from abstract models to real-life exercises, the line between reality and simulation can become blurry. What does it mean, then, when a simulation of an emergency takes place at the exact same place and time as the real emergency is happening in real life?
Today we were running an exercise for a company, bearing in mind I'm now in the private sector, and we sat everybody down in the city, 1,000 people involved in the whole organisation, but the crisis team, and the most peculiar thing was we based our scenario on the simultaneous attacks on the Underground and mainline station. So we had to suddenly switch an exercise from fictional to real.
Just to get this right, you were actually working today on an exercise that envisioned virtually this scenario?
Almost precisely.
In the hours after the July 7th, 2005 bombings in London, Peter Power gave a series of interviews to various outlets confirming that he had been running an exercise at the exact time of the attack. That exercise envisioned bombs going off at Liverpool Street, King's Cross, and Russell Square at exactly the same time as real bombs were going off at those very locations.
At 9:30 this morning, we were actually running an exercise for over a company of 1,000 people in London based on simultaneous bombs going off precisely at the railway stations that happened this morning. So I still have the hairs on the back of my neck standing upright.
And to get this quite straight, you were running an exercise to see how you would cope with this, and it happened while you were running the exercise?
Precisely.
What are we to make of this? Is this just a remarkable coincidence?
Always doing that a lot. You know, when Trump does this a lot, it's supposed to mean you can trust me. But when the gesture is overboard, it would lead to a sign of deceit. Because why do you need to go overboard when he's always like this? And then he did that again when he's sizing up a fish. Something of a presentation. He wants to respond with Putin seeing his point of view. But that always reminds me of, Melania and Trump with the photo op. They both send people to war, but they have never been to war themselves. The gentleman on the right, Trump went to military school, but he was not in the military, which is a difference. And he was not a soldier who went to war, but he is someone to send people to war. And very carelessly and not care about the repercussions. And though Putin, the gentleman on the left, is still today a Russian spy and KGB as well, and that needs to be considered because what do we know about spies? That they like to get within the enemy lines of who they see as an enemy and make them fight. How Trump's head is just turned towards Putin. He's got a lot of secrets to tell him. He's got a lot to tell him already. He really looks up to him like this is a big brother. And Putin's head is just right there, ready to receive. He's really good. That's at his job. He's really good at collecting secrets, too. Gemini, that's Trump right there. They love to talk. Got to be careful giving them secrets. And, they're really great for like getting along and talking with people at work and stuff like that and the family. But it's perfect for Putin because he likes to observe. He likes to listen. He learned to do that as he grew. But he was a soldier for 16 years and he dodged. Well, he didn't go to war as well. Some people would say that he dodged or they call him war dodgers. But he did not go to war. Mr. Putin did not go to war as well. So these are both what I call toy soldiers. They send people to war and they don't care. They've never been deployed into war and commanded troops themselves while they're going into war. It's easy for them. It's easy to be bossy. They're bossy. Birds of a feather flock together. And it's easy for them to sit and tell someone what to do, and there's a difference between someone who does the job with you. So I know for Trump, looking at him, his match would be a bully, a shrink, or a real soldier. It would have to be another person that is a dominant scorpion for Putin, because that's what he is. He's just naturally mysterious. He's naturally within his talents and practicing. A real soldier would be a match for both of these gentlemen. A real soldier that has been deployed to war would make these gentlemen's heads spin, especially if you had more than one. As the two walk down the carpet together, I noticed that Putin makes sure to keep space with Trump. Possibly Trump is absent-minded, or he doesn't mind the space closing in because he feels that he is such good friends. That pat right there, a little hurry along, I believe that's for a rush for a private talk. And right here I can tell that Putin just has fun with this. He enjoys this. The showing, the taking of pictures, this makes Russia look good as well, and that makes him look good too. Putin has made up his mind when they talk about a ceasefire. I can tell that he's already thought about this, and he made up his mind how he's going to agree to that right there, where I don't know. He's going to avoid, ignore anyone who might bring it up, besides anything that he needs to rehearse, that he's already, set in his mind what he's going to say. He does speak English, and he did hear the reporter twice, but with the jets flying, I will let that fly. Trump again putting his hand on his back before they make it to the, Trump putting his hand on Putin's back is signifying a friend, but also he really is rushing him. He's very eager to get into a private space and talk. While they're in the vehicle, the only people who know what they're saying while they're in the vehicle are the transporters, the drivers, but Trump is very eager to exchange some information. I zoom in here because I feel that I'm strongly am onto something. The way that Trump is scooted over so much towards Putin, it's like Putin doesn't have much space in the car. He's basically invaded his bubble. Trump was very eager to get to a private area to talk to Putin, which is crazy because he says he talks to him on the phone all the time, but it's much different when you have someone in person. This is a lot of secrets, a lot of exchange, and Putin's ear right there to open, receive, listen. He has grown up being a spy, and this is perfect. This is wonderful for him. Plus, I mean, that's just something that he enjoys, collecting secrets, keeping them, see how that's going to work for him. So yeah. Trump was very eager to meet with Putin privately for some new plans. And when Trump and Putin left this meeting, this is when Trump began to start talking about throwing America's elections. That's what I believe that this main meeting was about, similar to what Putin did, the steps that he did to rise to power in Russia. And if you pay attention to what Putin did in Russia, you will see, you already know Trump's game plan. Of course, Trump likes to have people look to the left, look to the right. That famous smile Putin does at the end because he's happy with his plans.
Where people's living standards have really taken a hit, you've got to find some kind of a new source of legitimacy. And that new source is, we are unsafe, there are enemies at our doorstep, or even inside our country. There are fifth columnists inside our country who are traitors, who are trying to destroy us. And so you need me. I am, as it were, the biggest dog in the pack. I am the person who can take our enemies down and keep the people safe. Everybody said, don't get involved in a civil war, and he got involved in a civil war and managed to keep his man in charge. But the other important thing I think about the intervention in Syria is it's part of this project to reassert Russia as a great power. Because
don't look at that project 2025. I mean, you look at it with a grain of salt, but really if you pay attention to how Putin took over Russia and got rid of their elections, and he is now they can't vote anymore, and he's supposed to be the last president. The same thing that Putin has done is what Trump is doing as well. And Putin is teaching him to. Putin does get caught in a lot of the lies, and Trump does the same thing, but you can tell when he lies. He's not good. Like, you can tell when he lies, like, as soon as he does it. Everybody can. And not many people have to be skilled and, looking at the details of a liar like Trump. He's very extravagant with his lies. Very much of a copycat. He copies everything that Putin says. A lot of people forgot that Putin used to say, make Russia great. That's where Trump got that make America great from. He got it from Putin, make Russia great. And paying attention to Putin's past, I was going through some documentaries today. I do believe he was the one behind 9/11. I think that's the key to the conspiracy theory. Because during 9/11, the reason why help didn't come quickly was because they kept being confused with exercises. And that's something that Putin used to do to his people over there, exercises. The little green men. We used to play that with a drinking game, put the little green man on your cup. But the little green man is his Nazi police, Putin, who used to beat up his citizens to have them control. And I believe he does that out of fear, thinking that somebody will betray him or backstab him or come and hurt him. Putin is guiding Trump. And what he's going to do next is the elections. They're both, Putin is openly in fear, like monitoring his health. But Trump doesn't want to say that he's worried about his health. Places, they used to call it the green men. I call them his Nazi cops, Putin's Nazi cops. His military, they didn't wear badges, they didn't have any identification, just like ICE today. And that's what ICE is. That is Trump's little green men. And where he's getting all these ideas are from Putin. And I think maybe the American people need to refuse. Maybe we need to stop letting Trump talk to Putin, because it's a high national security risk for the rest of us. He's telling Putin everything, and Putin's telling him what to do. And the thing about it is, I think Putin is in for a rude awakening, because it was a different time period, and also we're able to study you and what you did to your people over there, and so you're trying to come and do that over here. America is a different set of people, different mind frame, different side of the world. We do different things. But Trump does everything, and that's why he's basically on the phone. If y'all pay attention when Trump says that he's on the phone often with Putin, that's why. He's got to, get help, assistance. That's his mentor. Putin is Trump's mentor. If you help Trump, even his friends who are over here in America, he will hurt you. He definitely won't care what happens to you. Look at Alina Habba, and right now they're looking at Pam Bondi's license. If you help him and you hurt yourself and fall in the process, he will step on you to get on that ladder and to walk up that ladder that we call success, and Putin will do the same to Trump. I don't know, I think Trump has a tendency to turn on people very easily, and that will hurt Putin very deeply. The thing about Putin's emotions, see, Trump's emotions are wild. Putin's emotions are contained, but once that he taps into them, he can go deep. He can get real upset. What do I want to... I want to look at the European summit now. When Zelensky popped up with his boys with the rest of the European prime ministers and NATO, which is the way that Zelensky is going to have to talk to Trump every time. Because now that you have established that Trump is a narcissist, you cannot talk to him in private. You will get manipulated. And if you even if you don't get manipulated coming out of a private conversation with him, he will lie about everything that had happened. So you always have to be in public with this one.
Putin disdains what he would regard as sort of wokeism, liberalism, freedom. You know, he is socially extraordinarily conservative. So, you know, he doesn't like gay people. You know, he doesn't like, you know, anybody who, you know, deviates from what he sees as a kind of heterosexual norm. Hates the fact that former countries that are in the Soviet Union or behind the Iron Curtain want to become westernized and not Russified. You know, he hates the fact that a Big Mac is more seductive than anything Putin offers. That's the problem with people of Putin's generation, often in Russia, you know, people from his sort of political background, is they loathe the fact that the Soviet Union was a failure and the fact that actually ultimately American-style capitalism and European-style liberalism won the day. Patience plays an absolutely key role in any dictator's armory, if you like. They've got to play the long game if they want to stay in power. And often dictators are saying to their people, you know, the point about me being dictator is I'm going to make this country great again. And I'm going to make this country and its empire perhaps last for 1,000 years. You know, Hitler, I'm going to have a 1,000-year Reich. Putin, I'm going to make Russia great again. I'm going to claw back some of the territories we lost. You've got to play the long game. You know, it's not like in a democratic cycle, typically 4 or 5 years. You know, you're looking to that next election. Putin doesn't really have to worry about elections anymore. He's now worried, you know, about his long-term legacy, and he's going to get back in at the next election. There's no doubt that when Putin, you know, runs for president again after he's been prime minister, that, you know, there are people, you know, wanting to stand against him, and those who stand against him find that, you know, that they can't get permission for their planes to take off, or where they're going to give a meeting, the water pipe has conveniently burst an hour before, or wherever they're trying to take their supporters out to eat, there are no waiters for some reason. You know, it's dirty ops, nasty, you know, dirty tricks being played on all the opponents.
I think we're going to have a successful talk today. Me too. Please,
he doesn't believe
come on.
what he just said.
Do you guys want to take some questions or anything?
By the way, he's not going to do a ceasefire. I already told you he's going to agree with
Thank
whatever.
you very much. It's a great honor.
Putin says.
Have you here?
Body language, you don't necessarily pay too much attention to the words. Sometimes you do stop and analyze the words, see if they are congruent with someone's body. But it's mainly all about the body.
A foreign dignitary, and I liked him from day one.
No, he didn't.
And I like him even more now.
That's a lie.
Pretty good. That's unusual.
That's funny. That is funny. He's talking about I like him even more now. What? He's kind of pissed off with this little surprise. I mean, I'm pretty sure Zelensky considered that. Because this is more of what, like, whatever he's got, whatever plans he's got going on with Putin, this is off plan. Talking about I like him even more now, that makes him laugh. He's definitely feeling the opposite of what he just said. That was a lie. And laughing. But is her name Gloria? That's the lady from Italy right next to. She does not want to be here. But she finds that actually more funny than Trump does. I think she's like, do you realize what you are going through?
Prime Minister Meloni of Italy, who's
she's a little bit annoyed to
really
be
a
there
great
right
leader
now.
and an inspiration over there.
She wants Trump to get it together.
Now, even though she's a very young person, she's served there for a long period of time relative to others. They don't last very long. You've lasted a long time. You're going to be there a long time.
Oh.
Chancellor Merz of Germany.
Oh, she rolled her eyes. Oh, I saw that. Now I see what everybody was talking about right there.
And a very strong leader.
She was thinking, yeah, you're talking about yourself.
And he's my friend.
When he's
very good. You look great with your tan. Where'd you get that tan? I want to get
the tan on him?
president
But the tan on me, they flip
Finland, and he's
each other. But once they see the tan on someone with dark skin, they're pissed. He's not going to do whatever ceasefire. He's going to keep hiding, lying, delaying, deflecting. He's not going to do the ceasefire. I don't even know why y'all keep asking him when he's not. If he was going to do it, he would have did it. I mean, or he would have kept the peace when Biden did the ceasefire, when Biden left office. But Trump is going to continue. Trump is going to continue to lie to the world and say, we're working on a ceasefire. We're working on a ceasefire. No, he's not. America is bombing Iran right now. Russia's bombing Ukraine. Israel is bombing Gaza. And China is bombing Malaysia or Indonesia. Malaysia's getting bombed right now.
Security. And that's pretty much the story. I'd like to say, Mr. President, would you like to say something? You have the media. If you want, you could come over and you could stand. You could use mine, or you could just turn around, whichever you feel comfortable with.
Thank you so much. I can speak without microphone. Thank you so much. I think that we had very good conversation with President Trump.
Very good.
And it really was the best one. Maybe the best one will be in the future. But it was really good.
Customary for him to sit right across from Trump. I guess he has to. You could tell this is making him very uncomfortable. Not that he's scared. More that he's very mad. I can tell that Zelensky is like madder than a hornet's nest at Trump. That yes, Trump, Trump really don't know what's going on. He's a puppet. He's being guided. And I can tell that Zelensky is extremely frustrated. How he's moved his chair, how he really wants to get up. He could be liable to react, but he's not. He's a very poised man. He has control over himself. But of course, it's going to bring great passion out of him. Russia is bombing his home. Russia has been doing this for a long time, and throughout these meetings, like Trump keeps saying, "Well, the war could end if Ukraine would stop bombing Russia," and Trump is not going to. I don't like these people keep trying to get him to admit. I understand they have to go along with procedure, but Trump is not going to ever admit that Russia aggressed Ukraine. How Putin had said in 2023 that you want me to stop bombing Ukraine, but you're not going to stop bombing Iran, and Putin does have a point. Now, if we actually stop bombing Iran, is Putin going to stop bombing Ukraine? No. Putin wants what he wants. He's dead set. He made it up in his mind that he just wants Ukraine. So someone's really going to have to strong arm and stop it, or tell him this is off limits. And then people have already told him. So now they have to show him. Putin believes that we're here within the West, that some people do not stand on business. He believes that people just bluff. And the thing about it is, well, people like Trump do that. But some people, like you see Zelensky, how he brought, the rest of Europe. Some people actually do what they need to do.
The United States and on you and on those leaders who are with us. In our hearts, they have been online before yesterday and etc. So a lot of countries on the side of Ukraine, our people, and all of us want to finish this war, stop Russia, and stop this war. We spoke about it, and we will speak more.
I'm looking at Marco Rubio in the corner, just looking pissed. After this, he got really mad, saying that this meeting should have been private. I can tell you look pissed because you can't curse Zelensky out this time, can you? Look at Just Dance Vance. What are you frowning about, man? They be mad about things that, things be going well. And then they be mad. I really think that they're mad that they don't get to have control over this.
Signal and is ready for security guarantees.
Ooh.
The second point.
gossiping about, motherfuckers? Nah, they ain't talking about nothing that you really need to be talking about. I know American men. I know petty American men.
Very important to exchange all the prisoners, and I think that President will help. And I was very thankful to your wife again, Mr. President, for the letter about our abducted
You're supposed to be listening
children,
like church.
and I hope that really
is thinking. He's not thinking hard. But he's going to, the hands that he's with right now, he's going to, he's not hell-bent, but he's going to stick with whatever he has already planned for himself to do, whatever him and Putin's plan that they made. He's going to stick with that. He's thinking not too deep. His face would make you think that he's deep, but not too deep. He's concerned. That's Macron, right? From France. He's concerned. And that makes him mad. That makes him really mad. The children. He does not want to compromise. He's starting, you can tell he's starting the way he... That's someone who's very concerned, who's really starting to get frustrated and mad. And some people don't believe that some people can get really, really pissed off when they start hearing about the mistreatment of people, and then they get really mad when they start hearing about children.
There's a kind of general point that Putin's willingness to ally with a regime that's perfectly prepared to use chlorine gas or sarin or whatever on its own population is just an illustration that Putin doesn't care about the lives of ordinary people. What Putin cares about is power politics and geopolitics.
I went out to dinner last night for the first time in 4 years, and Washington, D.C. is safe, and you did that in 4 days.
Because you forgot that you gave the world corona, and America was shut down for about a year. You start, like, what is that word when people start problems? A victim? And then they cry about the results, and then they act like it just randomly happened, but you're the one who caused that problem. I'm not finna go through, oh, by the way, did you know that this is Putin style right here? This comes from Russia. This gaudy style, Jack White pointed out. That's from Putin too, the way he designed the White House. But looking to the right, to the corner of his eye. I wonder why he feels like he has to watch his back against Zelensky. He looks at Zelensky as an enemy rather than a friend, rather than all of these people. If you want Putin to get along with these people, rather than everyone looking as a friend. But for some reason, he feels like he has to keep his eye on Zelensky. Maybe someone gave him some special spy assignment. But I just noticed that he doesn't really take his eye off Zelensky, even if it is the corner of his eye. Because his eyes, when I was watching it the first time, they would not leave the corner of his eyes. So it let me know that he's in deep speculation thought. And it put me in a high alert to... I know that he's going to go talk back to Putin, since that's who he talks back and forth with his plans. Like, that's who he checks in with. But it's making me... I guess that's why I was right. So when he's a narcissist. He just got done saying, hello to Europe, and they go back, and then he comes back to America and beats us more. And that's exactly what I saw in his eyes, looking to the left, very side-eye, feeling like he needs to be more sneaky, feeling like he needs to be more under the radar, realizing that he is getting caught, or that he will get caught for something that he's done. And he feels like he really needs to go a bit harder, that he needs to be a bit more sneakier. He might also, when someone looks to the right, they could be, and then this picture is averted, so he could have been looking to the left, but either way, he's looking side-eye. To the left, he could be thinking of lies, but either way, looking to the back, he's thinking about the past. Something has happened in the past, and I wonder if it was making him feel ashamed. Really, like, looking side-eye is just, I can't get over that. He's thinking harder about doing what he needs to do. He feels like he needs to be more quiet. He needs to be more private. He should have been quicker with whatever type of plan that he's doing. But he is thinking about moving quicker, moving more ruthless, being more stealth. I was wondering, am I seeing someone who feels that they're being caught? But, you know, that's why some people do wrong or they commit crimes, is because they feel that they're not going to get caught. And was from the stand-up. And it was, his mind was not in the game, from what I remember, that he was not really there. He had already made up his mind what he's going to do anyways, and he's just thinking about, how am I going to do it without these people getting in my way? Because this was a little bit of something unexpected for Trump, this meeting right here. And when I had looked through everyone else, you could probably tell a little bit that he's looking to the side of his eye right now towards Zelensky. He's really mad that Zelensky did that, but it was such a good thing for everyone who's standing up there, including Trump. And the girl from Italy, she's so short. This supposed to be that you make more money the shorter you are.